is it nearly Christmas already? I don't know about you, but this first semester in the student world has been an absolute whirlwind. The things that I have done, the things I haven't done, the conversations I've had with people, remembering people's names, the people I've met, everything has just been like crazy. The amount of students that I've had coming in through my doors and going out again. But I don't know about you, some of you might be really excited that Christmas is coming, that a relief is on your mind because do you know what? The turkey's coming, the roast potatoes are coming out of the oven, and you can forget about what has just happened in that whirlwind of a semester. You've been trying to get people plugged in, you've been trying to welcome new students, you've been trying to teach your students how to talk about Jesus, you've been trying to talk to your friends about Jesus, never mind trying to get other people talking about Jesus. You've been looking after people, you've been helping people through exams, through stress, through essays. And on top of that, you've been trying to have a bit of a life yourself. The first semester can be such a crazy event, and sometimes you're just so glad it's over. So how do we keep our vision alive when things are hard, when things are difficult, when you start out with that original vision and things haven't turned out quite the way you planned, that people have let you down, people haven't helped when you've needed help, church has been hard, you feel you might not have the support you need. How do you keep your hunger alive for the vision that God has given you? I think I've just got 3 simple things that I think have really helped me journey through this. Haven't got everything perfect, but I definitely think that God has been speaking to me about these things. First of all, it's all about perspective. In the craziness of the student world, we often forget what it's really all about. When we're in the midst of things, our perspective gets a bit warped. And though we started with really good intentions that we were going to pray every day for our students, we were going to pray every day for our friends, we were going to have quiet times, we were going to have really good worship times, actually we found by the end of the year that's all kind of fallen away. And we've forgotten to allow God's space to speak to us, to actually guide us in what we're doing, because we're just trying to get through each day. We have an incredible opportunity at Christmas time to realign our hearts and our minds back to God. To say, God, you are number one. You are the thing that I need to get me through all of this. We have an amazing opportunity to have space to just listen. In the busyness and the chaos of everything going on, we can sometimes find it really difficult to hear God's voice, but actually we have been gifted this time at Christmas to just stop and listen. What are you saying, God, for me? What are you saying about my ministry? What are you saying to me about what I'm meant to do next? At the end of the day, it's all about God. Everything we do, everything we say, everything we think, it's about Him. And if we forget that, then why do we bother? Why do we do the things we do? If it's not about God and if it's not about giving God the glory, then why do we do it? We need to have our perspectives changed back to it's all about God. And we need to pray hard. Never underestimate the power of prayer. Prayer changes things. Prayer takes our focus off ourselves and places it back on God. It takes us off who we are and what we want to do and puts it back on the creator of heaven and earth. The creator of heaven and earth, pretty sure He can do a lot of good things if we just allow Him. You need to pray for that hunger to have a great perspective of who God is, His character, His ways, His wonders, His majesty. And we need to pray for a hunger, that we have a hunger for what we are doing for God. And in that praying for our hunger, we really need to remember our calling. When we are in the midst of everything, when things seem difficult and hard, when people are just really annoying and people have let us down, we sometimes forget what we're doing and we just kind of, lose sense of the prize, maybe. When things aren't going to plan, our vision can kind of be put to one side and we actually don't really know why we're bothered doing it at all, and we don't know what really the point of it is. I find it really helpful thinking about King David, one of the greatest kings in the Old Testament. King David was an incredible man, a man after God's own heart, but even he forgot his calling for a while. When he should have been out in battle, when he should have been out fighting, he just wasn't. We know the story that happens with Bathsheba, but God did something really incredible to remind him of his calling. He put a guy called Nathan alongside him, a guy who was able to speak truth and say, actually, this is not what's your best for you. This is not what God's calling for you. This has been not right. This has not been the right path you've taken. You need to remember what your calling is, the vision that God has given you. And it wasn't that God gave up on David and didn't give him a second chance. It wasn't that God was like, that's you out. God gave him a son, Solomon, who was wise. God gave David a second chance and reminded him again of his calling. And this Christmas time is a great time to just take stock and stop and think, who are the people challenging me in the midst of my vision? Who are the people speaking truth, the hard truth, things that sometimes we don't want to hear? Who are the people who are speaking life into me? And maybe this is just a time over Christmas that you need to just stop and be like, who are the people I'm going to have to send emails to, call up and ask, I need your help. I need you to help me with this vision. I need you to help me create something that God is doing in this city, in this town, in this university. Who are those people? And you know what? It's not easy sometimes being vulnerable. It's not easy sometimes inviting people into your vision because they see all the things that you might be doing wrong. And when you're in the midst of things that maybe aren't going right, that you think are going right, but they can be in a loving and gentle way say, actually, no, you've got something greater. There's something more. So who are those people? Think about who they are and invite them into your life. I promise you, you will not regret it. The things that you can do when other people are alongside you. We are not called to carry our visions alone. We are called to do this together in community. So think about who those people are. And finally, we need to dream bigger. Which seems really funny that I'm telling you how to remind yourself of your vision, but unless we are dreaming bigger, we are not going to step into the more for God. Even though things have been difficult and hard, and we sometimes think, what is the point of doing this vision? If we dream big, God will move. I always think that it's really an interesting, somebody said once to me that unless your vision scares you, you're not dreaming big enough. And I've always sat and kind of pondered that and be like, what does that actually mean? If I don't dream, if I don't have a vision that scares me, I'm not dreaming big enough. But actually, it's all about faith. If I have a vision that scares me, it's making my reliance be put straight back on God, to have faith in him. And I think at Christmas time, as we sit back and we look at what's happened and we just reflect, we can actually as well just look forward and think, what could be? What could happen? What could happen if I could see 100 students on fire for Jesus, telling their friends all about him, unashamed of the gospel, stepping out with faith? What would happen if I saw my students taking initiative and taking hold of the plans that God had for them? Not me just leading everything, but they being the pioneers and the ones petitioning for change. What could be? What could happen? What could happen by the end of March? And sometimes dreaming big is quite a hard thing to do. We don't really know where to start. But just ask God. At Christmas time, we can just stop and ask God, what have you got in store? Don't be scared to think things that you think are stupid or crazy. Just write them down, get them down, think about it, and go, God, you have the power. You have the authority. It's times when we step out in faith that God comes in and big things happen. We need to be people who are unafraid to dream bigger, because our vision will catch hold in our hearts if we dream big and we see what is going to happen in our city, in our nation, if we dream those dreams. And we need to remind ourselves of the stories of what's happened, the good things that have happened in the small things, to keep our faith and build our faith. So during this time at Christmas, as we wait, as we celebrate, as we are expectant for Jesus to coming, recapture that initial excitement that you had in your heart when you first started what your vision was. When you first remember that moment when God was like, this is what I want you to do. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Celebrate the fact that God, the creator of heaven and earth, sent his son, Jesus, to this world as a baby in a dirty, smelly stable to then grow up, to then die for us on the cross that we might be free, and to say, now it's your turn. Now it's your turn to take my plans and my actions and see the kingdom come in this earth. It's your time and it's your turn, guys. And I just pray that this Christmas time that you will have an incredible experience of God in your hearts, and that he would set you on fire again for the vision that he's implanted in you. No vision is too stupid or silly because it's from God.